Hey guys, welcome to Southern Gal True Crime. We cover missing persons, cold cases, um, solved cases, some infamous cases, and more. And today, I found an article about 10 serial killers who have never been caught. And I thought it was very interesting. Um, Most of them you've heard of. There's a few on there you may not have heard of. But I thought it would be interesting to take a look at. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. Please like and share this video if you find it interesting or informative. If you like what we do here at Southern Gal True Crime, please do subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notifications of when we upload new content. Like and share our videos. Most importantly, our missing persons and unsolved case videos, because that's the most important thing that I want to try to do here is get that information out to the public about our missing persons and unsolved cases. So if you would like to see this top 10 list that I'm going to bring you, don't go away. Hey guys, thanks for hanging with me. We are going to get to that top 10 list of serial killers who have never been caught shortly. But first, I have a missing persons case that I want to bring to you really quick. And this is from Never Forgotten, Arkansas. And today's featured person is Braden Akins. His current age is 14. He is a white male, 5'5", 135 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. And there's not a lot of information for him. He went missing on November 2nd, 2022 from Russellville. And he has no alias names or identifying features, but here is Braden's photo. So if you have any information regarding Braden, please see if there's don't think there's a phone number. You can call the Russellville Police Department, and I will find that number and I will put it in the description box below. All right. One more time, a look. This is Braden Akins. So please share this information, friends, family, any true crime groups you're in, social media, to help get this information out to the public, because it is very important to do so. All right, so now we will get to our list of 10 serial killers who have never been caught. Hold on, let me make myself a little bit smaller here so you can see what's going on. There we go. Okay. And this comes from howstuffworks.com. And it is from 2022, so it's not that old. Alright, so we shall begin looking at 10 serial killers who have never been caught. First, hold on, I may have to refresh. Refresh. There we go. Okay. And this first picture is this makeshift memorial for victims in the Gilgo Beach murders. Stands along Ocean Parkway in Gilgo Beach, New York. The Long Island killer is still at large. So that is a memorial. Get rid of that ad. All right. A memorial. All right. So it says, there's something irresistibly macabre about serial killers that has long fascinated humans since the early days of newspapers. Perhaps it's a psychological fascination offered by someone who could do something so far outside of the bounds of social acceptance, or it might be the fear readers get from wondering about the tiny chance The person working at their local grocery store may have the most chilling of secrets. And I think apparently I've watched and read about too much true crime because I'm paranoid. Whenever I go anywhere, if I'm in the car, I keep the doors locked before I get out. And as soon as I get back in the vehicle, I'm always looking around for any suspicious people or vehicles. I don't know if it's paranoia or just being safe in the world that we live in today. It's just the sad truth. Things do happen. We just have to be very aware and keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. Okay. But the stories that really keep the public up at night, or at least make the average person triple check their front door lock, which I also do. If I'm at home, my door is always, excuse me, my door is always locked day or night. Are the serial killers who haven't been caught. While it's unsettling to read about the atrocious acts committed by serial killers such as Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, it's just as engrossing to speculate about the ones still at large, or the ones who are so skilled we don't even know they're out there. And that's another sad truth. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of serial offenders out there that we don't know about. They're stealthy, they know how to cover their tracks, know how to operate, and they may never be caught. And that is truly a scary thought. Alright, get past these ads, they drive me crazy. Alright, here are 10 of the most chilling stories of serial killers who have never been caught and may forever get away with their crimes. Sorry, I forgot to turn off my notifications. Okay. Number 10, the babysitter killer. And here is a sketch of the killer and 4 of the victims. Clockwise, from top to left, Jill Robinson, 12, Mark Stebbins, 12, Christine Mihalik, 10, and Timothy King, 11, were all believed to have been killed by the babysitter killer, a police sketch is in the center, between 1967 and 1977. And here is the sketch of the killer. Alright, we'll find out. The Oakland County child killer, also known as the babysitter killer, is an unidentified serial killer who murdered at least 4 children in Oakland County, Michigan between 1976 and 1977. The killer's macabre alias comes from the fact that he bathed each child before committing the crimes, which led FBI profilers to posit that the killer had some form of twisted parental instinct. That is truly horrifying. The killer's choice to target children gripped parents throughout Michigan. I'm so sorry. Once again, my allergies have decided to act up today. Okay, the killer's choice to target children gripped parents throughout Michigan and spawned dozens of neighborhood watch initiatives. Despite a few promising leads, including the discovery of a vehicle suspected to belong to the killer, the case remains open and unsolved. The most recent development was in 2012 when investigators managed to create a DNA profile of the killer, but it didn't match anyone arrested in conjunction with the case or anyone in the police system for that matter. So apparently this person is very careful about not leaving DNA, or he's maybe never been arrested, fingerprinted, DNA taken for any other crimes that he might have committed. Alright. But perhaps the most disturbing part, aside from the fact that the killer is still at large, is the extent of his abductions. All 4 children were held for anywhere from 4 to 19 days before being bathed and killed. I just cannot imagine the pure terror of these children being held for this many days. I don't even want to go into what he might have done with them and to them. But hopefully someday this person may be caught. Alright, number 9, the Highway of Tears killer or killers. And this is a picture, very chilling. It says, girls don't hitchhike on the Highway of Tears, killer on the loose. And it has a picture of 3 victims. Now this is one that I really haven't heard of, so I'm interested to read more about this. And this is from Canada. It says Canada's Route 16, which connects Prince George and Prince Rupert, is called the Highway of Tears because it's estimated that as many as 40 First Nations women and girls have been murdered or disappeared on this stretch of road. Very scary. While the modern-day serial killer may be thought of primarily as a U.S. phenomenon, Jack the Ripper notwithstanding, Canada has had its fair share of heinous murders, including more than a few that remain unsolved. Perhaps the most infamous are the Highway of Tears murders in British Columbia. The highway is a 450-mile stretch of Highway 16 between Prince George and Prince Rupert, and has the unfortunate designation of being the site of at least 18 and possibly as many as 40 murders or disappearances between 1969 and 2011, mostly of Indigenous women. Very, very scary. Since the murders span 50 years, investigators believe multiple killers were patrolling the highway. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police found only enough evidence to prosecute one of the murders, leaving the other 17 cases in their purview unsolved. Unfortunately, investigators have concluded the perpetrator's whereabouts over the decades in question mean he could only be responsible for 2 of the other killings at most. So it's likely that the other killer or killers remain at large. Wow. Alright, number 8, Bible John. Now, I have heard about this, but I haven't looked into it, a deep dive into it. It's something I may have to do. Spurring Scotland's most extensive manhunt, the answer of who exactly is Bible John has shifted over the years. But the serial killer's identity has remained a mystery in the 50-something years since the murders of Patricia Docker in 1968 and Jemima McDonald and Helen Puttick in 1969, all in their late 20s to early 30s. All 3 victims were beaten and assaulted before their murders after meeting the killer at the same popular Glasgow nightclub, the Barrowland Ballroom. The few details known in the case came from Helen Puttick's sister Jean, who shared a taxi with her sister and the supposed killer on the night of Helen's murder. Jean's information helped investigators form a psychological profile of the killer, who supposedly made frequent references to the Bible, hence his nickname. Unfortunately, Jean died in 2010, and as she was the only witness associated with the case, the chances of finding the true identity of Bible John are next to nothing. Like I said, I'd heard a little bit about this, but I'm definitely going to, in a future video, take a look at it. If that was something y'all might be interested in, just let me know in the description or in the comments if you want to know more about any of these cases, and I will definitely research it and do videos for y'all. So just let me know. Alright. Number 7, the Alphabet Killer. And here is a flyer. It says, who killed Carmen Colon? Please help before it happens again. Rewards for information total $6,000. Be a secret witness. No clue is too small. And it gives phone numbers you can call and so forth. Okay, in an attempt to locate the killer of 10-year-old Carmen Colon, who was assaulted and then strangled, a local citizen group, in cooperation with the Rochester police, erected 5 billboards near her home asking for any clues. That is wonderful. All right, and this is from the 1970s. The Alphabet murders occurred in the early 1970s in Rochester, New York. The killer's alias comes from his choice of victims. He only chose victims, all of whom were young girls, with first and last names beginning with the same letter. So that is interesting. Maybe what they call a signature. The Alphabet killer's 3 victims were each assaulted and strangled, and while there were several witnesses, including several motorists, who saw 10-year-old Carmen Colon half naked on the side of the road attempting to escape from the killer, police have never managed to close the case. Alright. Oh my goodness, the ads. Oh my goodness. Having technical difficulties. Give me 1 minute. Oh goodness. These ads pop up and it messes everything up. Dun, 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 dun. 1 minute. 1 minute. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, guys. Nothing is cooperating with me today. Oh my goodness. Okay. I think we're back to where we were. Alright. We shall soldier on. Alright. Oh my gosh, the ad. I'm so sorry. I am about to throw this phone. Okay, we did Baba John. We were on the Alphabet Killer. Okay, here we go. Alphabet Killer. Oh, and I can't read that because of the advertisement. Apparently there were suspects connected as recently as 2011. However, none of the 4 men considered by authorities could be linked to the crimes, though one was sentenced to death for the murder of sex workers in Nevada. Interestingly, all of his victims also had alliterative names. Alright, number 6, the West Mesa Bone Collector. Apparently he, there on the left, there's still missing, and on the right, identified women. The West Mesa Bone Collector is thought to be responsible for the deaths of 11 women, who are on the right, and linked to 13 women still missing, who are pictured on the left. With a nickname that seems as much made for a movie poster as a police investigation, the so-called West Mesa Bone Collector may be currently active in the town of Albuquerque, New Mexico, or anywhere else for that matter. The mysterious killer hit the spotlight in 2009 when police found 11 bodies buried in an area of Albuquerque called West Mesa. Following a tip that a woman had noticed a human femur bone partially uncovered in a former construction site, police excavated the area and discovered the bodies of women who'd been reported missing in 2003 and 2005. However, there are at least 13 other women missing women who may also potentially have been victims of the West Mesa Bone Collective, reported missing as recently as 2006. Very scary. Alright, don't mess with me again, ad. Alright, police considered several suspects but lacked enough evidence to make a strong case against anyone. Recent theories have suggested that the West Mesa Bone Collector may actually be multiple people running a sex trafficking ring, possibly because many of the victims were involved in sex work. As recently as 2021, police confirmed that the case is still active. Though despite police receiving roughly 20 to 30 tips per year, no new evidence has moved the case along. The reward for useful information is currently $100,000. So if you're in the Mesa area and you may have some information, please do let the police know. Alright, number 5, the Servant Girl Annihilator. One of America's first known serial killers, the Servant Girl Annihilator, as he was called in the parlance of the time, killed 7 women and 1 man in Austin, Texas, between December 1884 and December 1885. All the victims were domestic staff, either killed while sleeping or dragged out of their beds and killed outside their homes. In just one night, December 24th, 1885, the killer murdered 3 victims with an axe, a signature that earned him his more politically correct nickname, the Austin Axe Murderer. Because the case was nearly 125 years ago, police records are spotty, though a New York Times article from December 26, 1885, wrote that more than 400 people had been arrested in conjunction with the case. 400 people arrested in conjunction with the case. That just blows my mind. I don't know how these 400 people were linked to the case, but that is the case. Modern researchers have suggested that the Austin Axe murder... Hold on, I'm beeping. Let me fix it. Clear. Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Now we're back. Oh, come on. Oh my goodness. So many technical difficulties today. Okay. Modern researchers have suggested that the Austin Axe murderer may be none other than Jack the Ripper himself, who sent Londoners into a panic just 3 years later in 1888. Now, in my opinion, Jack the Ripper gets blamed for everything. Yes, he committed crimes. Sorry, I had to switch positions here. But it seems like in a lot, especially these older cases, Jack the Ripper is always brought up. Now, could be true, could be not true. We might never know. I just thought it's amusing a little bit that could be Jack the Ripper. Alright. Okay, but realistically, the true Servant Girl Annihilator was likely local Nathan Elgin, who only had 4 toes on 1 foot, matching footprints found at most of the murder scenes. Now that is more believable. That is physical evidence. Elgin was killed by police officer John Bracken in 1886. Bracken shot him after responding to help a girl who'd been dragged from a saloon by a drunk man who was beating her. The girl's name was Julia. Fortunately, given how long ago the crimes occurred, he's most certainly no longer operating. Well, let's hope not. Unless he's a vampire or a werewolf, he is long gone. Alright, number 4. Now, this is one, of course, that most of us have probably heard of. The Long Island Killer. And here's a picture of where the bodies were found. The Long Island killer went relatively unnoticed until the discovery of Shannan Gilbert's body on Gilgo Beach in 2010 led to more and more bodies. The aptly named Long Island Killer is an unknown murderer who's been killing in New York from 1996 to possibly the present. Now, I haven't heard anything lately about any other bodies being found, but I'm busy and sometimes I don't catch all the news. Somewhere between 10 and 17 murders can be attributed to the Long Island Killer. And since he may or may not still be operating, he's one of the most recent serial killers in America to remain at large. Authorities know very little about the suspect, speculating that he is likely a white male in his mid-20s to 40s with extensive knowledge of law enforcement operations and techniques, which would explain how he successfully avoided capture. So he sounds like the typical profile of a serial killer, white male, mid-20s to 40s. But it does say he could have extensive knowledge of law enforcement operations and techniques. All right. Oh my goodness, not again. I'm so sorry. I am having major technical difficulties today. And I'm going to blame it on it being Monday. We all know how Mondays are. Okay. Keep going. All right. Long Island serial killer. It's the stupid ad that always messes me up. Okay. Number 3, the Black Doodler. Now, this is one I have absolutely never heard of. And this is composite sketches. Come on, Dawn, use your words today. The age progression sketch from 2018 that is on the right is based on the original composite sketch, which is on the left, from 1975, and shows how the Black Doodler may have aged over the years. So we'll take a look. Okay, so like I said, the one on the left. Wait, now I forgot what it was. Yeah, one on the left is the original, and the one on the right is the age progression. So we will, let's see about this. The Doodler could perhaps have had a more flattering nickname. Yeah, that's truly a bizarre nickname. Could have had a more flattering nickname like the Artist or the Sketcher, had he been kinder to the male models who posed for him. But instead, he SA'd and stabbed them, ultimately killing somewhere between 6 and 14 victims in San Francisco. From January 1974 to September 1975, several men disappeared from the city's gay community, and several more were injured or the victims of attempted murder. Though San Francisco has always been quite liberal, members of the LGBTQ community were generally not accepted into San Francisco's mainstream community in the 1970s, leading many of the killer's surviving victims to decline to cooperate with the police for fear of being outed. And that was a concern back in the day. As a result, there was very little information for authorities to go on, and the case remains open and unsolved. All right. However, unlike many cases on this list, police may be close to solving the decades-old mystery. More victims have been willing to come forward in the last few years, and thanks to DNA and fingerprint evidence, authorities have said they've narrowed down a person of interest who still resides in San Francisco, and there's currently a $200,000 reward for anyone that helps them find the final pieces of evidence to prosecute the case. So that is very interesting. Even after all these years, they have DNA and fingerprint evidence. And like I said, now in the modern times, LGBTQ people are more willing to come forward because for the most part, they are not, shamed or anything like they were in the past, unfortunately. All right, number 2 is someone we have definitely all heard of, the Zodiac Killer. And there is the ciphers that he did, coded messages on the left, and a composite sketch on the right. The Zodiac Killer's 340 cipher was mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle November 8, 1969. A group of code breakers managed to crack the infamous 340 cipher in late 2021. So a couple of years ago. Thanks largely to the 2007 Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Downey Jr. blockbuster Zodiac, which is an excellent movie in my opinion. I enjoyed it very much. The Zodiac Killer is perhaps the most infamous unsolved serial killer case in the United States. Much like Jack the Ripper did in London nearly a century prior, the Zodiac taunted police by sending investigators and the San Francisco Bay Area press cryptic messages and clues over a 1-year period in the late 1960s. In a true game of cat and mouse, the killer made himself known to city residents by leaving clues at the murder scenes, threatening to shoot school buses full of children, which is horrifying, mailing pieces of victims' clothing to the San Francisco Chronicle newspaper, and threatening the public if newspapers didn't publish the cryptic letters that became his hallmark. Alright. As of 2022, only 2 of the killer's 4 ciphers, which he demanded be published in the paper, lest he claim more victims, have been definitively solved. Police first opened the case in 1969 after the double murder of 2 high schoolers parked at a lover's lane. 5 murders have been definitively linked to the case, though the Zodiac, who gave himself the nickname, claimed to have killed 37 people total. There have been numerous suspects over the years, but the case is still very much open. Excuse me. In 2021, a group of private crime-solving enthusiasts claimed to have identified the Zodiac, Gary Francis Post. Post died in prison in 2018, but not before being interviewed by police, who declined to comment on the self-described elite team's claims to have wrapped up the case. So it seems like there might have been a little controversy or some friction between the elite team and the police. Alright, number 1, of course, Jack the Ripper. And there is an artist rendition. Jack the Ripper terrorized London in the late 19th century, killing and dismembering at least 5 women. It's hard to say why London's Jack the Ripper is arguably the world's most famous serial killer. It could be because he committed his crimes so long ago in 1888. They're so far removed from current times that no one connected to the case is still alive. It also could be because of the brutality of his killings that earned him his hair-raising nickname, or just simply because he was never caught, despite operating in a society that prided itself on law and social order. Jack the Ripper is often credited with jump-starting the modern-day serial killer fixation. He murdered at least 5 women in London's East End. And no, they likely were not all prostitutes. The murders kept London on edge, especially as the police questioned men in professions ranging from butchers to surgeons to barbers, but failed to produce a credible suspect. During Jack the Ripper's time frame, police and authorities received hundreds of letters signed by Jack the Ripper. While most were frauds, at least 4 letters likely were from the Ripper himself, including the infamous From Hell letter that inspired fiction ranging from comic books to Hollywood movies. From Hell is also a very good movie, in my opinion. I've watched it a couple of times. Given that most of the police records on the case were destroyed in World War II bombings, it's likely that the case will never be solved. But that doesn't stop amateur sleuths from pointing the finger in all directions, ranging from author Lewis Carroll, that doesn't make any sense to me, to not 1 but 2 men linked to Queen Victoria, her surgeon John Williams, and her grandson and heir presumptive to the throne, Prince Albert Victor. Alright, so that is top 10 serial killers who have never been caught. So I thought that was interesting. It would be fun to take a look at. It's the weekend. On the weekends, I tried to do a little bit lighter stories, although, you know, these do involve murders, but nonetheless, not as intense as some of the my weekday post. I apologize for all the technical difficulties. Once again, I'm blaming it on the fact that it's Monday. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you like this video, found it informative or interesting, please like and share it with your friends, family, any true crime groups that you may be in. Please, if you like what we do here, please subscribe, hit the bell so you get notifications when I upload new videos. Like and share our videos. Once again, most importantly, share our missing persons and unsolved case videos. The most important thing that I want to do here, get that information out to the public. Alright, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Until next time, be safe